All right, awesome. Here we go. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for today's SEJ webinar. Hope you're having a great day. I am here with Garrett Margoot. He is the co-founder and chief executive officer at Directive. So, Garrett, nice to have you back here at an SEJ webinar. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Heather. It's been a while since I was contributing on my column to now doing webinars. Kind of crazy. So excited to be here to chat with everyone and hopefully share some exciting new ways to think about going to market as a B2B organization.
Same. We're excited to see what you have. And so we also have today we have in our, let's just say that one more time. We have a breakout room for you all at the end of the presentation when we do the Q&A. We're going to have Brady and Derek in there. They are the Directive Growth team. They're going to be there to answer any questions about anything you heard about the webinar and anything you'd like to know about Directive and their services. So we'll open that for you all again at the end of the presentation. But today, for right now, we are here to talk about SaaS marketing, and Garrett's going to share some of his ways that that you can excel and grow and really get the conversions that you're looking for at the price that you want. So with that, my name is Heather. I'm going to be your moderator today. If you've got any cool tidbits that you'd like to share on social, use hashtag SEJ webinars. If you have any technical difficulties, you can use the chat box to let us know. Also, use that chat box. Let us know where you're calling in from today, where you based out of, and so love to hear that. There's closed captioning in the top right corner of your screen. Just give that a little click. And if you have any questions for Garrett, again, we're going to be taking those at the end of the presentation. So throw those in the Q&A tab. If you see a question that you like, there's a little thumbs up functionality that lets us know that it's a question that is important to you, and we'll try to front load those when we get there. And at the end of the webinar, there's a short survey. Stick around. It kind of helps us let us know what you thought of today's event and how we can make them more useful for you in the future. And lastly, you'll receive today's slides, the recording, and everything in your inbox. So yeah, use that chat box. Sarah, hello to you. Let us know where you're calling in from. I'm in West Virginia. And with that, Garrett, I'm just going to turn it over to you.
Well,
I'll be
thank you,
back with
Heather.
the Q&A.
That was lovely. Hey, housekeeping professional right there. Yeah, excited to chat with you all. My name is Garrett Margoot. I built Directive over the last 10 years with my best friend and business partner off of Fiverr. So started selling marketing calendars for $5 and bootstrap Directive to be the market leader in B2B advertising, really focusing within B2B. We do all B2B, but really focusing into that tech sector and those software clients. So let's kind of dive in. I have been obsessed with applying the services that we offer from day one. So when we first started, we were on Fiverr, and we eventually kind of started as a local SEO business, doing a lot of local SEO. Well, eventually we ranked #1 globally for SEO agency, because if we're going to sell SEO, we should be great at it. Well, as we grew, advertising became a large part of our business, and I wanted to make sure that I also could advertise to my exact audience, drive meetings, book demos, close customers, all while doing it profitably and efficiently. And so what we're going to talk about today is the methodology we developed for ourselves and then applied to our customers over the last 4 or 5 years. We've been doing this exact approach and the success we've had. So you can start to see some of the clients we've worked with here and really understand our perspective. And the perspective is that demand generation doesn't go deep enough. A lot of marketers, especially B2B ones, are still focusing on marketing qualified leads. And they're really hoping that if they get enough top of funnel activity, that someone's going to read their ebook, go, holy crud, I really need this. They're going to schedule a time with an SDR. The SDR is going to do their job flawlessly. They're going to hand it off to an AE, and the whole company is going to clap due to our amazing process. But the truth is, most of it doesn't work that way. And a lot of people are struggling to figure out how to advertise on LinkedIn, how to grow on social media advertising, how to do programmatic, how to do review sites, because they're not getting enough down pipeline performance. And so we built this methodology to go deeper, to get us from awareness to lead to sales qualified lead, to client acquisition, to even client activation. And then how do we retain those clients, refer more clients, and grow? And so we're going to look at this today as a kind of context. And I think the context we want to understand is, why isn't what everyone's doing working? And I think what's not working is we're trying to segment brand versus performance, when it needs to be brand and performance. We've maybe got an agency that does this one channel and another group internally that does another channel. There's no unification of the strategy. Where a lot of times we're using leads as our North Star metric instead of customer lifetime value or revenue. So even as marketers, we're doing good, but we're not even getting full credit for how good we're doing. We think that the world's a funnel, right? That someone goes to our website, fills out our form, buys our services, or reads our ebook, and we should follow up. And we're kind of doing a lot of this lead nurturing and kind of follow-up style. And the truth is I like to think that MQLs are kind of like balloons. And if we're really codependent on leads and we're always talking about how many leads we generated, if we're not monetizing those leads, eventually people are going to look and ask, why are we doing what we're doing? And what's the value of these leads if sales can't activate them? And so what we're going to really do today is show you how you can get leads directly into the actual sales moment, skip some of that informational advertising that so many are doing, and really start to leverage direct response. So it comes down to 5 principles, and we're going to look at these uniquely. The first is first-party data unlocks customer growth. The second is financial modeling. The third is North Star metrics. The fourth is the importance of brand. And the fifth is how you integrate it all together and apply it to your business. So, very first thing we do that's entirely different than I've seen most other B2B organizations advertising is we only use first-party data to unlock the scale. So when I'm advertising at a personal level, I spend over $3 million a year on my own ads. I care deeply about testing. I care deeply about making sure that everything I sell our customers works. And that's why customers like AWS, Uber, Gong, Stack Overflow, Outreach, and some of the largest tech agencies in the world choose Directive, is they want someone who's in it with them and is actually trying to figure it out with their own money. And so the biggest thing I wanted to do is I wanted to make sure when I advertised, I wasn't advertising based off of LinkedIn's data and then having to ask my sales work, hey, did you get that lead? Did you like it? Was that a good lead? And I couldn't trust their targeting. See, what a lot of people don't realize is all of LinkedIn's targeting is fundamental to industry. And industry has been selected traditionally by someone a long time ago who created the LinkedIn corporate account, who might not even work there anymore. And the industry could be wrong. In fact, I've found that almost 50% of the time, who you think you're advertising to on LinkedIn, you're not, because of the industry level targeting. So what we do different here is we're going to choose a data provider. I'm partial to ZoomInfo. They're a client for a long time, but I do think they're the best data provider. And with ZoomInfo, we're going to use that to first enrich your current customers. So the first thing here is to figure out what makes someone a great customer of your organization. So here with this client example, we anonymized all their clients. We enriched them in ZoomInfo, and we looked at the technographic and firmographic details that we believed were most statistically significant to someone becoming a customer. So for example, at Directive, I have done it like this. We scraped all of G2, Capterra, Software Advice, ZoomInfo, all the different data sources we could find over the years. And we built a database of every B2B software company in the regions we advertise in, primarily the US. From there, we go and we want to enrich it. Now, you can use the traditional ZoomInfo data, employee size, technographics, things like that. What we wanted to do, though, was even bring in our own data sources from third parties. So we enriched it with Ahrefs, SEMrush, and SpyFu. We looked at all of our own current clients, what they were spending on Google Ads, looked at what SpyFu said they were spending, and we built a ratio. And that ratio allowed us to understand that if SpyFu says someone's spending X, we know they're really spending Y. And as long as that spend is above Z, it'll hit our minimums. So now we've pre-qualified everyone we're advertising to make sure that they're advertising enough that they would hit our minimum retainer in this case. For your business, it could be totally different. Maybe you're a technology provider and all your best clients are running on this other technology, right? So we'd work with you to identify all the people who have over, let's say, 100 employees who are using this technology in these regions. And that would start to build our total addressable market. Okay. So we want to use your own customer data and figure out what makes someone a great fit for your business. Once we figure that out, we want to go find everyone else who matches that same criteria in the broader marketplace. And then we need to manually verify it. Okay. Love ZoomInfo, love these data providers. There's still a lot of crap, just a lot of junk in there. And so before we go waste our money, we're going to actually manually verify that every one of these accounts is exactly what we think it is. They have the employees we want. The website's good. They're active. They haven't been acquired. They might be actually using the technology, and we manually verify them all. It's a lot of work. We use a third-party BPO provider to do it cheaply for our customers, but we want to make sure that we really have a strong total addressable market before we start advertising, and that we can upload that TAM to Salesforce. So one of the hardest parts we have a lot of times is this attribution concept is, am I taking market share with my advertising and my marketing? Am I really growing as a business? And the truth is it's hard to tell sometimes. So with this TAM-based approach, what's so cool is we can upload every one of those accounts we want into your Salesforce, and then we can report on market share. This is what % of those accounts are in your pipeline. This is what % have closed. This is how many that still haven't interacted with our ads. And it starts to illuminate what the true marketing opportunity is for a business and how well the strategy is performing at actually taking market share. And by doing this, we start to have a unified approach. Not only can we upload this audience to Salesforce, this is the audience we upload to LinkedIn. And we even upload this audience to Facebook and Instagram, as well as the trade desk, all using this data. I see a lovely question here from Tim. What's the difference between first party and third party? Okay, so first party is data you might have from your own customers or that you've personally acquired. I'm calling it first party data because it's data that we're going to buy from like a ZoomInfo provider, and now we own. And then we're going to take that data that we own and we're going to upload it to the ad platforms and to Salesforce to go to market. And we're not going to actually advertise on Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn or programmatic using their audiences, but instead the manually verified TAM. Okay. And then you can start to level up your reporting. So now you can go to the C-suite, you can go to the board, you can go to your manager, your boss, and you can say, look, here's how many of these clients we've captured. Here's how many fit these different tiers. And we can start to really understand the success we're having in maybe the mid-market business unit or the enterprise business unit or the SMB unit, how much market share we've taken. And then we can start to see if our strategy's actually working in a much more transparent way, which is, do we have the clients that we want in our pipeline and are we closing them? So that's step one, right? We got to work really hard, build out our audience, understand our personas, and then build that data set. Now that we have our data set, it becomes a financial question. How much can we spend to acquire a customer? So a lot of us can't do that if we're being completely honest. We don't know how much we can spend per demo, per lead, per SQL, per customer. And so we just kind of try our hardest, but when we get stuck in these financial moments, we don't know how to push back on the finance department and say, look, I'd love to hit those goals. I don't have budget. Here's what I would need. And we don't have data and financial modeling to support us. So when people work with Directive, one of the first things we try to do is get them to a sophisticated state with the way they approach their go-to-market strategy, whether that's SEO, creative, paid media, programmatic. We want to make sure that we understand why we're doing what we're doing and what we can afford. So what we do is we do LTV CAC modeling by channel and by ad unit, right? Because even within LinkedIn, let's say we're running LTV CAC ratios on LinkedIn. We have our spend, we got our life cycle stage performance, we got our cost pers, we know our targets. The problem we can have is, how's conversation ads performing against sponsored content, performing against document ads? And if you don't even break down the ad units within the channel, you're also staying a little too high level to get to those moments of efficiency within your campaigns. Because we not only want to know how LinkedIn's working, we want to know within LinkedIn's ad targeting options, which ones are working the best, right? And we're able to do that with our spreadsheets and with our modeling. The other thing we have access to that's kind of cool is, let's say you don't have that data. Maybe you're advertising for the first time. Across $150 million in spend, we actually have a data team that breaks down by channel, pre-conversion and post-conversion, what the cost pers are by industry and by channel and by tactic. So we can look at it and say, okay, oh, you're in cybersecurity. We're seeing across 3 publicly traded companies that their average cost per demo is actually closer to this number. Here's what we could do to fix it. And it starts to give that transparency and that confidence to the marketing leaders that they're doing a great job, but that there are some areas where we could do even better. Okay. So now we have our total addressable market. We've done some in-depth financial modeling. We've looked at our gross margins. We've looked at a lifespan of our customers. We understand lifetime value. We now understand customer acquisition cost. And we're being really wise with our capital allocation. We're spending in areas that are having success and driving revenue, not just top of funnel lead activity, right? So we've got that. Now what we got to figure out is what's going to be the singular sense of a North Star metric. What are we going to evaluate or audit to say, this is what the business is focused on? And we've got clients in all these different sectors who are looking for different types of success. For example, maybe you want advocacy growth in your Superhuman or Airbnb. Maybe you need engagement growth. Maybe you need usage growth, customer growth, growth efficiency, right? And so by really understanding how your business generates free cash flow or EBITDA or top line revenue or new logos, whatever that goal is, we want to make sure the marketing strategy reflects it. So from there, what we really want to understand and what you got to understand in your business is, how do you monetize things? Are you doing usage-based pricing, per seat-based pricing, feature-based pricing, freemium? Do we need growth efficiency, or do we just need pipeline? Are we trying to launch a new product, or are we trying to take market share? And by understanding the outcomes that every business is trying to pursue, we can bring a custom approach to the strategy and make sure they're being successful. I'd highly encourage you, for your own business, to really get to the point of singularity where you understand exactly what you're trying to do, why you're doing it. And by getting that level of focus, you're going to get a lot more, you're going to get like increasing marginal returns on your labor, on your marketing team, on your budget. And you're going to start to see a lot more success and growth by really understanding exactly what you're doing and why you're doing it. You know, and this is what we do for every engagement, is figure out, oh, you know what, actually, they're having a margin problem. Their gross margin is dipping. They're not able to generate cash flow. We need to help them go up market and increase their average order value. Also, we can't advertise on a lot of these channels because their cost per in their data, based off their retention rate and their cost of goods sold, they can't even afford to advertise on this channel with any reasonable assumptions. Like, in other words, maybe you have a business that's having a hard time retaining customers and has a low average order value. Well, that means your lifetime value is going to be down. And maybe you can't advertise on LinkedIn because we would need a 70% conversion rate to hit your targets, right? By being thorough and disciplined in understanding what we're trying to do and what we can afford, now the right strategy starts to come to life. The next thing we really want to look at here is, how does branding and the perception of what we offer in the marketplace create demand, right? So a lot of us know search really well. I know my background was search, and it was always about capturing demand, right? When someone looks for the product or service I sell, I want to make sure that my client or my own business is discoverable, right? For me, if you search enterprise SEO agency, you're going to find clutch.co ranks, and I got to make sure I'm on clutch.co. Well, maybe if you're in the ERP software space and someone's searching for best ERP software, maybe Forbes with their new directory listing is showing up, maybe Software Advice, GetApp, Gartner Peer Reviews, G2 Crowd, Capterra, right? Every industry, every feature, every product has its own unique kind of buying journey that your audience is going through to kind of build a decision set of who they want to work with. In my opinion, the way we really get a lot better performance is not only are we discoverable when they have intent, but they've heard about us before and they have a positive emotional affinity for our brand. Okay. And we got some data here to support it. This is from Interbrands. They did a really amazing study, and what they found is that the top brands globally are outperforming the S&P 500. Okay. In other words, brand perception matters. We all know that, but sometimes it's hard to figure out how do we build a brand when it's hard to attribute it to pipeline. So it's hard to sustain the spend, and it's hard to understand who we're advertising to with all this audience level targeting that the platforms give us access to. Once again, this shows the importance of the TAM. Because before, maybe it was hard to spend on a brand message or a brand campaign because when you distributed it, you didn't know who you were distributing it to. It was based off of a household income, maybe people in a geographical region, maybe it was interest-based targeting on Facebook or Instagram. But you didn't actually know that every impression was going to a manually verified total addressable market. That alone starts to give us a different level of confidence to take a brand and amplify its brand message. And the truth is a lot of us struggle long term, right? Every year as marketers, our numbers go up, oftentimes by more than our budget. So we know that we have these internal pressures that we need to consistently deliver month over month growth, quarter over quarter, and year over year progress, or our jobs, frankly, are at risk. If you look at our industry and what we all do for a living, there's been a lot of turnover and a lot of turmoil when we go through a recession as professional marketers. And we get budgets cut, but not always goals cut. And so what happens is we get these short-term pressures, but when things were good, right? Previous 2 years before this for many people, we didn't invest enough into brand. And so now a lot of our direct response budgets are cut. Maybe our teammates have been cut. Maybe we have less internal resources, but we also don't have a ton of direct traffic, a ton of people just natively wanting what we offer who've already heard of us. We haven't invested in articulating our value props and why we exist to our exact ideal customer persona at our exact named accounts, right? Everything we're talking about today is really ABM on steroids to grow the business. And so what we want to do, right, and what we want to help you think about is, what is our brand goal? Are we trying to establish ourselves as a market leader? Are we trying to attract better talent? Are we trying to have more of a disruptor positioning? Are we trying to have more pricing power? Do we want to scale brand awareness? Do we want to say why we're different than this massive competitor and we're the incumbent? There's so many ways to look at it. And once you understand what you're looking at there, we have to start to understand what emotions we want to evoke, okay? Do we want people to feel like they're successful with us? They're going to be popular? I really focus on confidence. Almost every client at Directive has previously been with an agency and may or may not have a bad taste in their mouth. And I have to essentially restore their belief in an organization that's fully focused on their exact need and these exact services in their exact industry. So I needed to instill a lot of confidence that things will be different with us, right? Maybe your business needs to focus on security because you are working in a high risk environment. Maybe fear of missing out. Maybe you just want to lower the stress of something, okay? So every business has a different way it needs to position itself based on the value props of its products, the makeup of its executive team and its broader vision. And by understanding those things, we can start to really articulate what emotion we want to evoke in our audience. And it just works. It does. But the thing is, we got to avoid all waste. So once we know what our message is, we know why we exist, and we know who we exist for, now what we have to do is be consistent. So when people always ask me, Garrett, what should we spend on brand advertising? What should our brand budget be? What I like to tell them is spend as little as possible to start so that you don't have to stop it. Most of us pause our brand advertising in a shorter amount of time than even our sales cycles are. Does that make sense? So a lot of us, right, we run a campaign and we evaluate the campaign success in a shorter time window than our sales cycle. Well, that's just silly, and it cannot work. And so what we want to do with brand advertising is treat it a little differently. Know that it's hard to sometimes attribute it. It's pretty much impossible to attribute it, in my opinion, for B2B organizations if you're not doing our market share approach and bidirectionally evaluating your TAM in Salesforce against your audience. But if you're not doing that, and you aren't doing that yet, the best thing you can do on your brand advertising is not stop. And so make sure you allocate no more capital than you're going to get external pressure on validating. And so keep that amount low enough that you can build traction, and then watch as your ancillary KPIs like direct traffic or market share improve based off of how you're supporting all your direct response campaigns, which we're going to talk about in a second. And we got to create our brand story. You know, a lot of what we do here at Directive is video. I'm really enjoying video for our customers because of the way our audience as marketers, humans, are consuming content. Whether we realize it or not, most everyone here hasn't read a blog post in the last 30 days. We're not consuming content like we used to. What we're doing is we're actually consuming content in feed. We're not even clicking anymore. So like a lot of the way we all advertise is like everyone here I've ever met is trying to advertise on LinkedIn or something if they're a B2B company, and they're just slinging ebooks and guides. And that works for MQLs. What it doesn't necessarily work for is revenue. So for my business, right, when I started this and what got me even focused on it is I was running lead gen ads on LinkedIn. I would run the ultimate guide to demand generation. I would then personify it. I'd call it the CMO's guide to demand generation. I wouldn't redo the whole asset, but I'd change the cover page. I'd change the audience targeting. I'd change the copy and the creative. And I'd only advertise the CMO's guide to demand generation. I had a 70% conversion rate on a lead gen form. It's doing great by all in-platform metrics. The problem is that when I sent that lead to my SDR or my AE, they'd call, they hadn't read the asset, they couldn't get them to a meeting. And essentially my cost per opportunity was so high, I could no longer sustain advertising informational assets. But that doesn't mean we don't need to educate our audience. I think a better way to educate our audience is using more of a CPM approach. So embracing reality, not trying to manipulate user trust, and then essentially advertising video in feed where they can consume it while they're doing what they want to be doing, right? And so what we like to do for brand advertising is less informational assets, guides, ebooks, and white papers, and more video at the top where someone can really understand why our product exists, who it exists for, and why it's valuable to them. And then you can start to build your retargeting audiences, and you can have so much more efficiency in the delivery of your brand advertising. Like one of the channels I'm loving right now is Twitter. I'm only spending $1,000 a month. Literally nothing. But I'm getting millions and millions of impressions on SaaS marketers for such a low cost that I don't have to ask myself how much pipeline did Twitter drive. What I can say is, do I want to tell 1.2 million Twitter users about my ads for only $1,000 a month? Heck yeah, I'd love to do that. So it's a perfect example of where maybe I can't upload my TAM. It's hard to prove its pipeline value, but I know my targeting is strong and that the CPM is worth it, right? And when we think about video, what we want to make sure we're doing is we take enough time to highlight the pain. So many of you, when I see your ads and I look at your websites, is you're running these like Fiverr type explainer videos with poor graphics that just dive directly into your features and what you do. But what we don't always do as marketers is take the time to understand our ideal customer and really articulate that we get their pain. And so whenever we try to do video, we like to start the beginning of any of our creative assets on really nailing down the pain that our ideal customer persona is struggling with their jobs to be done. And then we introduce our client as the hero to their problem and show the value it takes from solving that problem with them. And I think it's a much healthier way of doing storytelling that I want to share with you all today. And then obviously you got to chop that up and you can distribute it, right? So it's not about doing thousands of videos. It's about doing a really strong video to articulate the value of your brand and then chopping it up into a bunch of distributable pieces that you can integrate throughout your strategy. You can have some pre-roll ads. You can have trailer ads. One of my favorite places right now to do video is we actually put it in our Zoom waiting room. So if you ever get a call with Directive, while you're on Zoom waiting for the call to start, we actually do a hype video that talks all about our services. It's a really cheeky, cool way to leverage a moment in your sales process to add marketing value to your audience. So when you do a video like that, the key then is to just integrate it throughout your strategy to really bring your brand to life. Here's an example for a client contract pod where I think the team did a really good job. Here we kind of start with that traditional product overview video, introducing our audience to what contract pod does. And then we start to use video testimonials from the customers and from other places where we'll fly out and be there and do the live action. And then build all of that to go into maybe like a gift card campaign to take a meeting to get that direct response and try to get a human from apathy to action who the incentive is the gift card, but the value is now clear because they've seen our content, they've consumed it in the feed. They haven't had to go click around on our website, give a bunch of information to read an ebook they won't read, to be followed up with someone they don't want to talk to. We're giving a much healthier way of understanding how B2B consumers want to buy from B2B organizations. And now what we want to talk about is how do we integrate this, right? Okay. So we've got our total addressable market that we can advertise to that's been manually verified. So we know that every single impression is not wasted and it's been integrated into our sales force so we can attribute the success of our campaigns in the lens of market share to align with the board and the C-suite. Number two, we've been exceptionally thorough in our financial modeling. We understand the mechanisms of the business. We understand how we monetize our campaigns. And we're prepared to ask for more budget because we know the impact we're having for the organization. Number three, we got to understand what our goals are. We can't have goals all over the place. We got to get focused and disciplined on a singular objective for what we're trying to accomplish in our marketing. And then we need to make people want to work with us through our brand advertising and how we articulate our value. But all of that is great, but now it's time to make some money. And the way we got to make money is we got to have an integrated strategy that looks at SEO, that looks at our marketing ops, that looks at our creative, that looks at our paid media and ties all of this together. And we happen to offer services for all of these things. Essentially, our entire organization is built to support the director of marketing at a B2B organization who needs to do it better or the right way, or is just looking for an agency partner that goes a little above and beyond. And so the example we're going to look at today is WordPress VIP. Many people don't even realize that WordPress has an enterprise level product. We got hired to help change that. Okay. I think the problem was very similar to what many marketers believe in HubSpot. Like many marketers believe that when they get global or they get larger, they have to graduate HubSpot to Marketo. If anyone here has ever done that, I guarantee you they regret it. It's a very difficult platform sometimes to manage if you don't have a ton of specialized labor. All of a sudden reporting slows down, the administrative time you spend on your job skyrockets, and essentially it creates problems. Well, WordPress had the same problem where big organizations no longer want to run on their CMS, and they were graduating from WordPress to what they perceive to be better enterprise solutions like Sitecore and other players, and WordPress was struggling. So they brought us in, and they wanted a way to advertise, but they didn't want to advertise to everybody. They wanted to advertise to people that actually needed WordPress VIP. So we did our manual verification of our TAM, and we started there, and the outcomes were pretty cool. We started to get an average contract value of over $1 million from digital. It is possible. I still close all our engagements from digital at a $41,000 lower cost per demo. Okay. So I want to show you all the integrated campaign strategy map we built for them so you can see this. But it needs to be comprehensive. So first thing we wanted to do, and the quickest win everyone here has, in my opinion, is to focus on review sites and directories. In other words, capturing existing demand. Okay. So we have over $150 million in B2B spend under management. And we segment all of those campaigns, as I was talking about earlier, by channel, by industry, pre-conversion, post-conversion, and nothing in our portfolio from a channel level still performs better for B2B than review sites. They are the best. And it makes sense in the sense that consumers who are on review sites don't always know that it's pay to play. Like Capterra is a CPC model. And so when they're doing it, we call it the 3-tab test, right? So let's say we're selling ERP software. If someone goes online and they have not already chosen a vendor, so they're in the consideration stage of their buying journey, and they look for best ERP software, review sites are going to rank throughout the top 10 of the search engine results page, right? We all know that the number one result gets about a 32% click-through rate, while our top performing Google ads get only maybe a 4% click-through rate. So there's so much more volume in organic, but we can't even rank anymore as individual websites when there's commercial intent for the products or services we sell, because these review sites are now ranking in all these bottom of funnel commercial queries. So the moment you take what you sell as a product or service and you modify it with the words best, top, reviews, pluralized, all of a sudden review sites start to show up. When we rank on those review sites, we want to be a part of the 3 vendors that they get demos with, right? So what we want to do is make sure that we understand which directories are ranking. So not only do we look at the directories, but we don't think about the directories in this like simple sense of like G2 is better than Capterra. That's not true. What we want to ask ourselves is when someone searches for the product we sell, what ranks? So we take the URL of the review site, we put it in a tool like SEMrush, and we see what keyword positions it ranks for. And we ask ourselves, do we want our brand to be discoverable on these queries? And if the answer is yes, we need to be there. If we're not, we lose, once again, that brand credibility because we don't seem to be as big of a player as the other people are. In other words, we lose trust with our prospects. Okay. So first thing we want to do is we want to be here. What's great about this is you can pay to play. So if you got any reviews on Capterra and Capterra's ranking for your product, if you essentially go in, let's say the 2 or the 3 spot, we like to avoid the 1 spot. But if we get on that 2 or 3 spot, immediately our brand is discoverable and we can capture in-market demand for the product we sell. Next, what we want to do is start to create demand and create brand affinity. That's what we're using LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and programmatic for, is we're taking people who are not in market, but we do have firmographic targeting for, right? So that's the conundrum of marketing today. Search has intent, but no firmographics. So it's hard to go up market with Google ads. It's hard to go up market with SEO because I can't make sure that only people with 500 employees search for my ad. They have some beta features. Google just isn't good yet at firmographics. Conversely, on LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram, I can upload my TAM, advertise to my exact manually verified audience, but I don't know if they're in market and I don't trust Bombora's intent data any more than the next person. And so you're stuck in this bit of a conundrum. And so what we're doing is we're using gift cards to create intent, aka a financial incentive to take a meeting, to get a human from apathy to action and create intent. That doesn't mean we don't have our value props, right? We still need our value props, but when we pair a value prop with an incentive, we can unlock the direct response nature of a channel and start to grow. And so once again, that's what we did here, right? We got their clients, we anonymized them, so they didn't share any sensitive data. We then enriched those URLs. We figured out everything about what made someone a good fit. It's like running a regression analysis. You find what is most statistically significant that's a targetable trait of a company that hires WordPress VIP. Once we found that, we then found every other company that matched that same criteria in the regions we target. And then we come up with a media plan, right? How much we want to spend on awareness, how much we want to spend on engagement, how much we spend on opportunities. As I was saying before, the silliest thing you can do as an agency is spend a bunch of money on things that won't have results within your contract. So we got to still make sure that we show immediate returns and good information and good pipeline from the beginning. And that's why we focus here on ops, okay? And you can see us using different providers and how we think about it a little bit here. And then we got to save waste. You know, we want to be a good partner for our clients. The goal with your customers is never like, how much can I spend so I can increase my percent of ad spend? Like, that should never be the objective. The objective is that your clients are as efficient as humanly possible at articulating the value of their brand to their exact audience, and we're able to get that audience to take action and speak with sales. That's our job. And so what we're trying to do is get that to occur. When you ask what the definition of immediate is, David, immediate to me is that I'm actually getting someone from LinkedIn to click on my sponsored content and actually book a meeting using a Chili Piper routing link. I did everything for Chili Piper and Calendly over the years. I still think Calendly's great for individual teams, but if you need more dynamic lead routing, Chili Piper is the way to go. I can't recommend it enough. And if you wanted to buy one piece of technology to improve your pipeline performance, having your salespeople wake up in the morning to meetings that have been booked directly from paid social is the dream. Directive, when I launched this, I had 10,000 accounts I wanted for B2B software companies. I held sales calls with 6,800 of them in the first 12 months by only focusing on SQLs and deleting MQLs and getting rid of informational intent advertising and focusing on gift cards to get humans to book a meeting directly with my sales team while in the platform. So that's what I mean by immediate. Is like right now, people are booking calls with my sales org from my ads, and my AEs are going to wake up tomorrow morning with intro calls from named accounts. And it can work like that for you. And the math is there, right? Last year, I gave out over $500,000 of my own money on gift cards. Okay. So it's not, blowing smoke, and it does work for enterprise. Okay. These organizations that are larger are still financially motivated. Okay. You can see here, Kellogg Foundation converted from this gift card campaign for WordPress VIP and resulted in a closed won deal. Okay. And so what's interesting about this data, and this is actual real data here, is that by paying someone to do what I want, I'm actually getting a much lower cost per lead. In this case, it's cost per intro call held is what we call a lead here, is intro call held with sales. If it ain't resulting in a actual sales moment, it's not a lead for me. Okay. And so it's a very simple way of looking at the world. My hypothesis is this. Currently, many of us have $100, let's say, as an example, to spend on an ad platform. So I have a $100 budget for LinkedIn, and most of us give all $100 to LinkedIn, or we give $85 to LinkedIn and 15% to our agency to manage it. All right, fine. What I'm proposing here is that we give $60 to LinkedIn, and we keep $20, and we tell the prospect, if you take this meeting, we'll give you $20. And what we actually find is that by paying people to take action, the cost per action goes drastically down. And in other words, using some of our budget to incentivize activation is more powerful in auction-based advertising environments than trying to lower the cost per click or lower the cost per acquisition. What we're really trying to lower is the cost per meeting held. And so by incentivizing the person to attend the meeting, we're actually lowering down funnel cost per performance. And that's what's actually lowering customer acquisition cost and why I can spend so much on my ads. And then in this case, you can see once again, your whole brand can't be gift cards, right? But you can see here, we're using a gift card incentive to get a demo, but we're also using a guide to talk about a case study. We're also using a customer testimonial, and we're also using a value prop ad. We're balancing all of these campaigns with our capital allocation, but we're keeping the vast majority of the budget up here on opportunities so that we're constantly driving net new pipe for the organization. And then, once again, distributing those brand messages, okay? You can do that display, native, connected TV, video, and we do all of this through the trade desk. And then something Tim Davidson and I are working on, I'm not sure if you've seen his fruit videos or anything like that, but we kind of have our own little B2B influencer here at Directive. And what he's also great at, beyond just making amazing videos, is he is a very strong advertiser. And what he found is that we can actually do native account-based advertising on LinkedIn with custom creative. So the way we're doing it for ourselves and for our clients is we need a minimum audience size of 300 people. And so if we can get an audience of 300 people on LinkedIn, we can actually build custom creative for just that account and run ads only to that organization with custom copy and custom imagery that speaks exactly to them. So we can still break out our top 100 dream accounts that the exec team's emailing and doing Loom videos for, that we're trying to get meetings with, and layer them with ads that speak towards our value props, all through running it just natively on LinkedIn. And then we use metadata when their product within metadata called meta match to then take that same TAM that we're running on LinkedIn and upload to Facebook and Instagram. The biggest thing we're seeing, everyone, in this performance is keeping our audiences larger. So we're actually trying to segment audiences less, because the way these ad platforms are working is that audience size is actually improving delivery, lowering CPM, and giving us a lot more success. So while it used to be all about over segmentation, single keyword ad groups, really tight persona-based campaigns, what we're finding is that it's not actually worth it. So what you have to think about structurally as a model in your head with the value of personalization is, by lowering my audience size and becoming more focused and segmenting all my audiences on social media advertising, am I getting such higher conversion rates that it's worth my inflated CPM? And if you balance both of those concepts, you can really start to understand what's best for you. And then once again, share a SERP, right? Understanding what questions were indicative of intent. Are we discoverable? And what information are we articulating to someone who has true intent for our offering? And are we discoverable? And then really organizing the menu and the business for customers. Oftentimes, we've got our own product names, we've got all this stuff that we do, but the only people who know it are us. And unfortunately, we're the only people we're not marketing to. And so what we always try to encourage our customers to do is make sure that we, even if we want to keep a product name, let's add a second line for clarity. Let's be really contextually accurate as to what this product does, so someone who might not know all of our product names and what they mean can easily understand the outcomes our products create for them, and they can self-identify and self-sell themselves as to what they really need based off their jobs to be done and their needs. And then landing pages. You can't talk about it enough. Trying to improve in-platform KPIs is very difficult, right? Especially on paid social, but also on paid search. Everything we're doing is auction-based on these platforms. So every day, a new competitor enters the marketplace and increases the CPM, theoretically by more than we can lower cost of goods sold or increase price. And this actually creates diminishing marginal returns on our financial model. And so what we want to do is we want to improve activation. So we want to improve conversion rates, cost per strategy call held, cost per demo, cost per closed one. And we want to really focus on activation. Obviously, in platform, we got to manage it. We have to constantly improve. But if you're in B2B, you also know, if you've set off offline conversion tracking in Google or anything like that, you can start to see that sometimes your highest cost per clicks result in your highest average order value. And so you shouldn't really be trying to always lower cost per acquisition in platform, but instead lower cost per demo or cost per customer. And sometimes your best customers have the highest cost per clicks. Does that make sense? And so it's really, really important we know why we're optimizing what we're optimizing for, and that we're doing it all based off down funnel performance, not in-platform metrics. And so we've had the blessing of working with some of the smartest and sharpest marketers. This is just an example of them. And we take our relationships very, very seriously. So a little quick sales pitch. Average consultant at Directive only works on 3.2 accounts. We don't have an account manager model, so whoever you're working with, you talk to directly. And in July, we launched startup-based pricing starting at $5K. So if maybe you couldn't afford our services historically, but you want to work with a top agency, we now have an accessible price point, and that startup team still has no more than 5 accounts per consultant. So you're still getting that same high touch approach, and you're getting this exact methodology that we can apply to your business. So I'd love to answer any questions you all have, and hopefully bring it to life for any questions you all might have about the approach.
Awesome. Thank you, Garrett. Okay. We're going to go ahead and open the breakout room. So anybody who wants to hear a little bit more about Directive and the services they offer, you can hop in there where Brady and Derek will be waiting, and we're going to take some questions right here. So, okay, all right, let me get my sheet back open. Sorry about that.
Are you
All right, so Danielle asks, how do you combat using only first-party lists and meeting the platform's various minimum list requirements? She goes on to say that their sales team tend to have very specific targeting criteria that doesn't contain enough accounts, so their audiences can't serve properly.
Yeah, like I said before, you need an audience size of a minimum of 300. I would expand within functions. So sometimes on LinkedIn, when that happens, it's because you're doing title-based targeting when you have really, really tight account lists. So I would argue a couple things. Number one, I would ask yourself if you could expand globally. So sometimes if you don't have a big enough account list, what I'll do, like for my business, right? I have to figure out how to expand within B2B SaaS. So I can only make as much money as there is B2B SaaS spend to manage, if that makes sense. And so sometimes if I feel like I've saturated enough of a market, I'll launch us in Latin America or in EMEA or APAC with that same level of firmographic criteria. And that's frankly what I did in 2022. So I kind of took us global. We're at about over 150 people. And I started to build out labor forces in those regions, built out formal entities with those governments, and then launched advertising campaigns to support it. And that was another way I was able to expand my total addressable market and get that TAM size larger. The other thing you do, like I said, is like multiple functions. So instead of maybe going after just the champion or just the decision maker, try to expand your targeting to the entire buying center, but while still doing it only to the account. So you can then get your audiences to run better, lower CPMs, better delivery, but still no waste because it's still the named account you're trying to target at scale.
Love it. So let's see. Daniel asks, so when you were talking about the emotion within the marketing, he
Yeah.
asks, is it a best practice to pull in one emotion or using a combination of emotions?
I mean, I know I'm pretty emotional and fairly complex with what I'm feeling any day. So I mean, I do think there's multiple plays. I think the problem I have is most of us don't have enough budget to support a lack of focus. So one of the kind of values I have here at Directive, and I try to impart to our consultants and train the team on, is that the depth of our strategy is more important than the breadth of our activity. And so what I would say to answer that question is, yes, I do think you can pull on multiple emotions and that humans are all unique and motivated differently. But I would argue that you don't always have enough budget to properly distribute multiple emotions, and that you can oftentimes be better off making bets and going deeper on singular concepts that you have fundamentally deep hypotheses around that you truly believe in. And I would encourage you to make bigger bets on fewer things, and you will see more capital return from your budget.
Yeah, makes sense. So Brian asks, any best practices for gift cards? They've tried it before with little success. Are there any audience signals that you look before serving the gift card ad?
No, I mean, I'm doing gift cards probably across $100 million in spend across every vertical with every type of persona. They work because humans are motivated by money. It's not because we're some geniuses. We're just trying to play on human nature and understand psychology of how do you get someone who's not expressive, like explicitly expressing intent for your product. They're not searching best SEO agency, clicking on Directive's ad and filling out my form. They're on LinkedIn looking for a new job or just scrolling on Instagram. And I have to get them to a state of action. And to do that, I use monetary incentives. I've tried everything. So I'll give you all a little bit of data on gift cards and from my experience, because I've been running these gift cards for almost 5 years now. Amazon gift card is the best gift card. I have tried literally everything. I've tried brand gift cards, so I'll try like a Yeti gift card. I've tried Allbirds shoes. I've tried Uber Eats. I've tried Target. I've tried Airbnb. I've tried legit like Visa, MasterCards. I've tried literally everything. The best thing that works is Amazon. Nothing has been able to beat it in 5 years. Number one. Number two is I can't ever do a numerical amount less than $100. If I make the gift card value less than $100, I cannot motivate a human to take a meeting. And then what I'll do is I'll go 105 as my default offer. And then for that CMO segment within my TAM, I use 205 for that upper decision maker. And I have a saying that the champion is more important than the decision maker. So I spend almost all my budget on directors of demand gen for B2B software companies, but I still need to try to get in front of that C-suite, even though I know that they push their decision making down. And so I'll spend a little bit more of an incentive on the CMOs to see if I can't get a meeting with them. And that's how we closed Calendly, for example, was we got the CMO from Calendly to respond to a $205 gift card on Facebook, for example. Like, it does work.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and there's value in, showing them that it's worth their time, right? And that's what a lot of it comes down to. So if we've got any other questions for Garrett, would love to take them. It looks like we might have one more. And for the handouts, sorry about that. We've got some handouts in that tab. They've been shared, so you should be able to access those now. But there's a number of them in there. Let's see. Christy said this is one of the most informative webinars we've had in a while. So she thanks you for that.
Thank you.
But Garrett, I think we're out of questions and we're almost out of time. So I think, timing wise, it landed pretty well. So before we let you go, before I ask my favorite question, is there anything else that you want to leave people with, that you want them to know?
No, I mean, if you enjoyed this and you're a B2B organization, I'd love to chat with you. I'm actually doing sales right now because one of my AEs on paternity leave. So if you fill out our form, you might actually end up talking to me on the intro call. But I'd love to chat with you, learn more about your business. And if you're an agency person watching this, I do coaching and I have a lovely course. You can check it out on my social profiles. So love to help there. And we do acquire other agencies. So there's kind of a long-term impact there. But yeah.
Awesome. So tell the people where to find you.
Yeah, you got me, GarrettMaragut.com, if you want to find me individually. And then obviously what I care about most is Directive. So if you're looking to hire an agency, check out directiveconsulting.com. We have all of the salespeople at Directive are really just thought leaders that are very passionate and committed to your success, and they'll build a custom strategy for you. I think you'd really enjoy talking with them. And I enjoy even being on the calls, watching them build strategy for you. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, you guys are a good team. And I love Tim's stuff. I follow you guys on Instagram. I think it makes me laugh every time. I'm like, could not be true or could not be true. So it's good stuff. So awesome, Garrett. It was lovely having you here. And we'll see you on the next webinar. And for all of our viewers out there, you'll get the recording and the slides later today. Watch for that. And with that, we'll let everybody go. So enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks all.
Appreciate it, everybody. This was awesome. I had a lot of fun with y'all. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.